But being down at the Celebration Bowl is like, nope, this is Shador's the real deal.
Yeah,
you know,
he is.
he,
He is, and what he brings to the table in his mental acumen during the game, his preparation before the game, it translates to any conference. A lot of folks will say, well, he was at HBCU and he was playing a less competitor level than he'll be in the Pac-12. But I'm telling you, just fasten your seatbelts and watch. This guy's going to be phenomenal. It ain't daddy ball. It ain't because his last name Sanders. This dude is one hell of a quarterback, man.
yeah, and I will say I do expect there to be some adjustment. Obviously, it's a higher level, right? And there will be some adjustment. But what I saw watching it live in Atlanta, I was like, no, this guy, he's doing things that are different than we've seen at Colorado in a while. Things that you see Power Five quarterbacks do. I mean, the escapability, just the throws he can make, things like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
we can talk more about that later, as we get closer to the season. But I had the same impression as you. It's like, no, Shador's the real deal. So it's going to be a lot of
He
fun.
is, and I know we're going to get deeper into it in the days and weeks and months to come. But he's not only coming, and I referenced this because you were at the Celebration Bowl.
Yeah.
Well, he's Travis Hunter is with him, and you saw two guys connect to force a game into overtime. On fourth down. With 3 or 4 seconds to play, that same dynamic between a head coach, starting quarterback, and a guy can play both sides is coming to Boulder. So it's going to be an exciting time, man.
Yeah. And that play, by the way, was one of the coolest plays I've seen. I mean, I thought Jackson State was dead.
Yeah.
I mean, they were down to their last gasp effort, and for them to connect for that touchdown was,
Yeah.
it was almost unfortunate they didn't win that football game the way they came back and did that. But I mean, that play was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you, how different has it been? I know it's only been 3 months as opposed to 3 seasons at Jackson. How different has it been following this here in Boulder than it was down in Jackson?
It's been mirror image.
Yeah.
But what I'm enjoying in this process is what you guys are going through and what you guys are about to go through. I have witnessed, and so I sit back, as fly on the wall and leaning off the wall like a young Michael Jackson, and I watch y'all's reaction to things I've seen happen already. And so it's really refreshing. It's intriguing to see this guy be able to do the same thing in a totally different environment. And personally, I've just fallen in love with Boulder.
Yeah.
The only reluctance I had was the weather, and you guys constantly tell me that this was the worst winter in 20 plus years, and it wasn't as bad as I'd imagined the weather to be. When I first got there, Brian, I bought these big coats and boots. I've maybe worn it once, and then by the time lunchtime comes, you're dripping in sweat because it's gone from 20 to 60.
Yeah.
So the weather is not what you think it would be at all. The people are amazing, the facilities are amazing, and to see what Coach Prime's impact has been once again inheriting the program that he's turning around, it's been phenomenal to watch the second go round.
You have seen this, Dion's team for the last 3 years, but you have not been around this coaching staff because there's new guys on the coaching staff. There's a new team. What was your biggest takeaway of this team as you watched it in the spring?
Well, with your question there at the end and my answer, people are going to think we scripted this, but you segue right into my answer, and it has been the coaching staff. And let me peel back some layers and tell you why. I saw Coach Prime in Jackson State inherit a roster that was not up to his caliber of what his program needed to be. And so we had 50 plus from April of that COVID season to August of our first, fall practices. You had about 50 plus transition out of the program. So that writing was not only on the wall from my experience, that writing was on the wall from even his testimonies. He hit the ground saying there's going to be some dramatic changes here.
Yeah.
But here's why I put it on the coaches. Whereas he brought a high number of coaches with him from Mississippi, whether it's Jackson State or Vincent Dancy and Valley, these other coaches who came in from Kent State with Coach Lewis and from Alabama with Coach Kelly and Coach Sal, to see them spend the amount of time investing into and training up kids that they had to know is not likely to be here in June. Definitely not going to be here in August. And to see that coaching staff gel and work together, to get that spring product together, man, was just amazing. Behold, Coach Prime has assembled a dynamic staff. So many former head coaches, so many future head coaches, that watching them work was my biggest takeaway from the spring. Because he's brought in a dynamic staff, man. I will tell you, even though we've yet to play a game, that this is not only one of the most diverse staffs in Power 5 football. when you look at the experience of it, I don't see a staff around the nation that has so many former head coaches and former coordinators in various positions than what they previously served in. And I don't want to fast forward too much because I want to enjoy this ride, but I'm looking forward to 5, 6, 7 years from now to see, which one of these coaches, part of Deion Sanders' coaching tree, are now head coaches themselves somewhere else.
I wrote this line in a story. We all know the Netflix series Last Chance U.
Yeah.
And this isn't Last Chance U, but I think Deion's sort of turning this into Second Chance U. It's a lot of guys that are getting that second opportunity that maybe it didn't work out at Alabama or Tennessee or Washington or whatever, but you come here and it might click.
Look, let me give you an amen. As Coach Prime has me do when I interview him, let me put the organ in right there and give you an example. So there was a guy at the University of Florida by the name of James Houston that was not getting a lot of reps. And he talked to Deion Sanders, and Deion Sanders was able to get him to enter the portal and come to Jackson State. James Houston gets drafted by the Detroit Lions last year. There was a guy who was a return specialist and also a corner at Florida State named Zay Bolden. He talks to Deion Sanders and he convinces him to get in the portal and come to Jackson State. And Zay Bolden got drafted this year. This works when you got a master chef in the kitchen like Deion Sanders who knows the ingredients he's looking for. And one of those ingredients in that personality and character trait is the hunger. I think a lot of times in programs, people get comfortable. They've been there 2, 3, or 4 years. The facilities are nice and we get all these perks no matter what the scoreboard says, compared to a guy who's just fighting for a chance at another school. And here comes an opportunity in Boulder, Colorado, where you can get that opportunity to show the NFL and the nation what you can do. And those hunger guys are running toward it. You look at the defensive line and how it slid off leading to the spring game. Hats off to those guys who played the spring game. I think they did phenomenal. But what a chance for a guy that's number 2 on the depth chart at Alabama or number 2 on the depth chart at Arizona, wherever it is, to say, hey, man, Boulder, Colorado, they are looking for some D linemen. I'm not getting my opportunity here. I got a great chance there and a spotlight on me. And I think Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, knows how to use that total package of the concept of the marketing and what this program is going to be and how the nation is going to be watching to get guys to say, I'm going to come to Boulder for that opportunity. It worked in Jackson. The blueprint for that worked. James Houston, goes to the NFL and leading the Lions in sacks. And that 1 year later, Isaiah Bolden gets drafted from Jackson State. And those were 2 people who transferred under the same kind of thing that's happening in Colorado.
You have that camp that you alluded to coming up May 30th. How many spots do you feel Coach Prime is going to leave open for that camp? I mean, do you think this is all going to be filled before that camp, or do you think we're going to see like 5, 6 spots that are open?
I think you're going to see scholarships in his back pocket all the way through his satellite camps. He is managing this process. If scholarships were the salary cap, if it were the NFL, and he knows I got to stay under the cap because I don't know what's out there that I'm going to discover. So, he has that camp in Boulder for JUCOs and walk-ons. Then he goes to the Houston, Texas area for a satellite camp, and then to Atlanta for a satellite camp. So I think he's going to strategically keep some of those in his back pocket, even well beyond then. I don't think he's going to exhaust all his scholarships in building this roster.
Okay. At some point he will, I imagine. I mean, by August camp, right? By camp.
I don't think he's going to use all the scholarships, man.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
I don't think he is. I think that he's going to assemble a roster that could be successful without exhausting the last one, because you never know. Scholarships are an annual deal, so you have to keep room for growth and attrition and that kind of thing. And when you look at the number of scholarships, the number of players you can travel with, a savvy guy like Deion Sanders knows how to build a roster and not use or lose every single scholarship.
Yeah, you got to be smart with it. That's for sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point, and it'll be fascinating to watch that aspect of it. It already has been, but to watch that unfold over the summer and to see how these spots fill up will be amazing. But